one more minute.
It's recording now.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. That's insane. So, is that it? Really?
You get it. We can switch. We can take it.
Oh, that's hard. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. I think I would be in trouble. Because I love it. I don't use it too much. Yeah. Yeah.
We had
Yeah.
a live discussion about it.
Yeah.
Good evening. Welcome to the February meeting of the Clintonville Area Commission. We're going to go ahead and get started. I welcome everyone. Before we dive into the approval of our agenda, if you're able to please rise, we'll go ahead and say the Pledge of Allegiance together. And as always, I invite Officer Brown to get us started.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would like to note one omission to the agenda that's completely my error. After our zoning and variance item here at the bottom of the front of the page, we will have a presentation from MORPC. Maria Schopper
Yes.
will be sharing information on the 2024 to 2025 transportation plan. So we look forward to that presentation. With that, we'll ask for a motion of the agenda to be approved, please. Thank you, Commissioner Moritz. Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Excellent. We'll move on to district updates, starting with Commissioner Moritz.
Only one update. I was contacted by a resident on West Cook Road. He was concerned about speeding on his street in the neighborhood. Students going to either Bishop Patterson or Whetstone. I gave a lot of suggestions on how to, what actions to take, including calling it into 311. I also contacted our former liaison, Catherine Swift. And she also confirmed that she's now working for Vision Zero. She also confirmed that submitting a request for 311 would be appropriate. I also recommended the resident to contact Officer Brown and ask for keeping an eye out for speeding. That's it.
Thank you, Commissioner Moritz. Commissioner Miller.
Yeah, just a couple updates from what I shared in January. The Wild Ones Columbus chapter has a native pollinator grant program, and a couple of residents in District 9 are answering some questions and building out that application for the traffic calming circles we have on Stanton Avenue. So making some good progress there. Excited to see that in the spring. And then we also started to get some new benches being installed at Sharon Meadows Park. So some of those are going in. Also excited to see those.
Thank you. Commissioner Kroll.
Hugh Kroll, District 4. I met with Green Spot volunteers and the CRPD staff at Riverwalk Park. We're discussing a pollinator garden installation there. And the city is behind it. And it looks like that's going to take place this year. We're putting in proposed design. And it should take place in April. In Clintonville, generally, we did initial planning of the Arbor Fest, proposed Arbor Fest, first annual, which is proposed to be here at Whetstone Park of Roses, and celebrating everything in trees, including city services and the urban forestry master plan that was recently prepared by CRPD, and with the involvement of many city departments. And also, we intended to be citywide, so people would come from all over the city to come to the Carpet Roses for Arbor Fest. That's just in the initial planning stages. We don't really have a date yet, but it's probably going to be in late September. I met with the groups that are both supportive and against the Walhalla Ravine stream restoration project, and just advancing that, or monitoring that discussion between those groups and Blueprint about that project. The last meeting I went to, the plans were at 90% for that project, so they're well on their way towards a final product. And I don't think all that much is going to change before they get to the construction plans. And finally just today, I got a report from the Clintonville Resource Center. The Kids Club people who come from Indian Springs and cross High Street at Henderson to get over to Maple Grove for after-school programs. The pedestrian crossing signal there is out. They can't cross safely. And so that has been reported to 311 and also to the Department of Neighborhoods. And we're waiting to hear when that can be fixed. That's about it.
Thank you. Commissioner Hardley.
Josh Hively, District 8. Only one thing to note, I did speak with, this week with Titus Jackson, who is the construction manager for Chick-fil-A at the Morrison High site there. We had a conversation with the recent rains. There's a lot of mud on Morse Road, just from the traffic coming in and out of the construction site there. So they didn't give me an official plan of what's happening, but they did say they're working on getting that cleaned up. So
Thank you.
that's all.
Brittany Bolton, District 5. Unrelated to my Clintonville hat, I was appointed recently to the Columbus Community Relations Commission by the Mayor's Office. So I will plug that we are looking for more volunteers. We hear complaints of discrimination from across the city, across 12 different protected classes, and we're really looking for folks who represent among those 12 protected classes who might be folks of color, folks who are non-binary, folks who have different sexual preferences than what may be considered normative, different religions. So if you're interested in volunteering on that commission, we meet once every other month for 90 minutes, and we're planning community engagement events throughout the year as well. I'd love to talk to you. Commissioner Latta.
Paul Latta, District 1. One thing I report is I attended both the Columbia Gas presentations for West Weber and East Weber, the gas regulator site buildings. I was really impressed with the neighbors on how some of them came together and actually produced plans for what these things might look like. I'm hopeful that Columbia Gas will follow those suggestions and try to disguise the regulator stations as much as they can. So looking forward to their presentation here in the next week or so. That's about it.
Thank you. Commissioner Nutter.
Greg Nutter, District 2. I also attended the Columbia Gas meeting, the first one for West Weber. And I too was impressed in what the thorough design that they had, and actually Columbia Gas even presented that as some of the examples. So I'm going to be excited to see what Columbia Gas comes up with their proposal for next month for us to vote on and look at. So hopefully it'll be a prototype for other stations they have throughout the city, which would be great. We can stay clean for it. The other thing I had for, I did have a couple neighbors reach out to me about 201 West North Broadway when that was coming up to City Council. I did find out that it is coming up in front of City Council for the zoning board on the 12th of February. So I passed that information on to those neighbors and stuff. The other thing I just want to share with you is the fact is, you know, my big thing for my campaign was the fact that we all need to have good neighbors. We have a lot of very nice people in our areas and our districts. And I think it's a way that we just need to recognize some of those people. And I just want to do a big shout out for the Boy Scout troops of Oak Presbyterian Church and the Clintonville Historical Society that Christmas Eve, they came out and luminaries and with luminaries all the way down West North Broadway. And also East North Broadway was participated in that. So if you drove Christmas Eve on North Broadway, you saw the luminaries from the railroad to the river, which I think was really nice. So I appreciate their attendance to do that. They almost said they'll do it again next year, so that's good to
Sign
know.
them.
Sign on those kind of things. The other thing I want to point out too is, and I'm going to try to recognize a good neighbor in District 2 every meeting and stuff, and so I didn't get to do that last meeting, but I would like to recognize also Brian Pfeiffer for giving 3 years of his service to District 2. So
Thank you so much. I like this tradition.
I love that.
It's a good one.
Lee Osborne, District 3. I also would love to thank the Boy Scouts for helping out with West North Broadway. It was a beautiful display this year. Christmas Eve, in my absence last month, I wanted to give a couple updates. I did attend the Columbia Gas meeting on December 19th, right before the holidays, and that was kind of a combo meeting for both East and West Weber. And I really think they heard the message that the residents want the fencing to, blend in. They wanted to make the building somewhat residential instead of so industrial. So I appreciate the mayor taking the extra time to hear the neighbors and give them a finished product that they can be happy with. I also attended our rotary tree lighting that was right in front of the library here in December. We had carols, chocolate cookies is very well attended this year. I've been having various conversations with the Walhalla residents also regarding the plans from Blueprint. And then I have one announcement. I've received a text today from Jennifer Dials of Jenny's Diner. A lot of people have been wondering when Jenny's Diner is opening. And she's given me permission to say she will have her grand opening on February 12th. It's a Monday morning. So, yes.
President's Day. President's Day.
Yes, that's her opening day.
Thank you. Where's your line then?
Like one, I don't have anything to report.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Moritz, would you be willing to share the approval of the past meeting minutes?
I heard a few minor feedback and incorporate that in the minutes.
Is there a motion to approve last meeting minutes?
So moved.
I'll second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. And Commissioner Miller, do you have a treasurer's report? I know we're a little bit on pause, so we can defer.
Nothing.
Wonderful. Thank you. Well, on that note, I'd love to recognize Special Guest Councilmember Bankston. Thank you for joining us in Clintonville this evening. If you would like to address our neighbors and the commission, we'd love to hear from you.
Sure.
That camera faces, it can pick you up from wherever, but it faces us.
I'm gonna stand here so I
Yeah,
can
that's
back that to you guys.
Thank you.
And glad I made it. I mean, they started right on time, so I didn't want to be late. I just left Chairwoman Tiffany White and the good folks over at North Central Area Commission. So glad to be here with you all. Nick Bankston served you on Columbus City Council, and my job here tonight is very simple. It is to one, say hello, introduce myself or reintroduce myself to some folks, also introduce my staff, but also to say thank you to this body. I started, and it's interesting, I see a lot of new faces. The first term I had, but I started my first term, I was elected City Council in 2021, started my first term in 2022. In that first term, I went to every single area commission in the first 100 days. And I said to my team, and rather my team also said to me, we're going to go to every single area commission again in the first 100 days and start term 2 the same way that we started term 1. And that is one in community, but also being thankful to this body. Because I truly believe that the issues that we face as a city, they don't get solved at City Hall alone. They get solved in rooms like this. They get solved by bodies like these great folks that come and advocate to us on a daily basis. I am working for them very hard to get them a pay raise so that they can continue. You're supposed to laugh. It's okay to laugh. I say this everywhere. No one wants to laugh about it. They don't get paid about it. Okay? But no, that's why it's even more important for me to be here, and also for you all to be here because they dedicate their time, their talent, and then even in many cases, even their treasure, because they care about not only this community but the direction of our city. So I'm excited to be here. One, I want to introduce you to my staff. I have my whole team here so that you can put a face with my office, so that when you call, you know who you're talking to. Also tell you what committees I'm going to be chairing. And then also, if there's time, Madam Chair, happy to entertain any questions or hear any pressing issues you all may have. So within my office, I have J.P. Dorval. He is the legislative aide for our office. I call him really the bureaucracy whisperer. That's what JP's role is. So all policy, he's much smarter than me, so that's why I keep him around. But all policy, internal workings of the city, navigating city government, that's JP's role. We also have on my team, Jonathan Brown. He's our legislative analyst. He's really more the external face of the office, so external communications, constituency affairs. When you call the office, Jonathan is who you reach. I call Jonathan my boss at City Hall because he manages my calendar, so he tells me where to go. I look pretty good because he tells me what to wear. He tells me what to say, but then I get in trouble on that one because I don't say what he tells me to say, and then I get in trouble somewhere else down the line. But we're working on that. But I just wanted to make sure that you put a face with my office so you know what you're calling. When you call, you know who you're getting. I will be chairing for the next 2 years our Finance and Governance Committee. That is made up of our Department of Finance and Management, so that's all of the city's assets, all of our fleet, as well as our operating budget and our capital budget processes. Additionally, in that committee is our Department of Technology. Technology is more of an internal-facing department to the city, and so I'll also have that department within that committee. The other committee I will also be chairing and continue to chair is Economic Developments and our Small and Minority Business Committee. So that is our Department of Development, but the economic side of Department of Development, so all of our job creation and all of our small business assistance programs. And then also in that committee is our Office of Diversity and Inclusion. So all of our procurement processes around diverse spending, as well as small and minority business supports and certifications. So I'm excited to be here, Madam Chair. Again, I will just stop there and ask any questions. Oh, I'll say this too. I think most folks know this, but I want to make sure I clarify this everywhere I go. That we went through a change last year. We did expand council. We went to 9 council members from 7 to 9. We also went to districts at large. So that means that you have a district representative, but you still can vote for every single council member. And so it was important to me to not simply go to the area commissions in my district. So I represent District 5. That's northeast side of the city, but we're still accountable to every single resident. So we had to go to every single area commission. So your district representative is Councilmember Rob Norris, who lives right here in this neighborhood of Clintonville. District 3 is where we are, and I'm sorry he'll be around somewhere, or you'll probably see him around somewhere on walking around. But he represents this district, but again, all of us are accountable to you, so that's why I wanted to make sure I came and introduced myself, say hello, and also thank this body. So I'll stop there. Any questions? Pressing issues, and again, always open invitation for me. I'm always happy to come back to here whenever you all want me to be here.
Thank you so much, and congratulations on the key chair positions too.
Oh,
Finance is a big committee, so.
I'm learning that very.
Any questions from my fellow commissioners for Councilmember Bingston? You guys don't want to ask him what he's going to spend money on at Clintonville? Okay. Any questions from the neighbors in attendance this evening? Yes, please.
Yes, I'm Pia Farrell. I live here in Clintonville. It's not so much a question as that I would just really hope that City Council gets some focus on what happened with the Greyhound station, why it was left, why it left where it was, why it's placed where it is, and why, it seemed to happen behind closed doors.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. It is top of mind for us, and so for us as a council, that particular situation, because there was no zoning variance or any rezoning, it didn't come to us. And so I found out in the paper when it happened, just like you all did. And so right now, we are directing everything to our city attorney's office, because as you know, we're currently in litigation with them. But I will tell you, as Councilmember Nick Bankston, because I will not speak for all the council, but Councilmember Nick Bankston, is an inappropriate place. It shouldn't be there. And it is short-sighted for us. We have to think about having a multimodal, true transportation system. We have to take into account that type of bus service. And the fact that that is out there on the west side, one, it's not fair to the residents of the west side, but more importantly, it's not fair to the people who are using that as their means of transportation to get from one city to the other city. And so for me, my hope is that one, we can get through this case very quickly, but two, that we come up with a true solution in partnership with CODA and other folks to make sure that that is in a place that makes sense, regardless of where their ticket sales are. But to make sure that it's in a place that makes sense for folks that one that is safe and that is dignified. Because I don't care regardless if you're traveling to Columbus via plane, train, which we fighting for, because we're gonna get us a train at some point, or bus. It should be dignified, because that is really the doormat to our city. And none of us should be find that acceptable, right? Regardless of what side of the city you live on. So thank you for raising that. Absolutely, it's top of mind for me.
Thank you so much. Are there any more questions?
So what is your budget and designated project for Clintonville?
So I will say this: I'm the finance and governance chair, but I like to tease the mayor. And I say this: mayor's proposed budgets, council approves and appropriates budgets. So I will look at the mayor's budget to see what is earmarked specifically for Clintonville. We're currently going through the budget right now, in that process. I can't tell you what exactly that dollar number is or any specific projects, but happy to look through that and get a report back to this commission to see what specifically is in there. I think a bigger piece, as you know, where a lot more community engagement happens, or things that you see coming out of the city, is our capital budget. And so that process will start in earnest around May or so. And those are some of the bigger projects that you typically see that folks really get to touch and feel, if you will, from an investment standpoint.
So for your first 100 days, we won't necessarily have an opportunity to grill you about the specific projects.
Absolutely, you can. Because if you know more than me, then listen.
Oh, we don't. So if you don't tell us what they are, we won't know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, as I said, what's beautiful about this new system is that, yes, you have someone here in your district that lives in this neighborhood and knows the issues intimately, but you still got 9 folks that are responsible and accountable to you. So please call my office for anything, even if it's a pop-up. We're happy to help.
So we like to say we like you and vote for us. That's all.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Councilman.
Absolutely.
Love having you here.
Thank you guys for having me. All right, have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Next up, Officer Brown, if you would like to share an update, we'd love to hear it.
I got a commissioners, how you doing this evening? I'm sure some of you may have heard, but on the 23rd of January, we had a young female, 15-year-old. She entered Whetstone High School by running into a security door after it was buzzed open for a different student. And she brandished a knife inside the school. She was confronted by staff members. She threw the knife at staff members who detained her until police arrived. She was looking for another student, an actual student. She was not a student of Whetstone, but she was looking for the student. They had an argument over social media. Officers got there, arrested her. She was ultimately charged with conveying a weapon in school and aggravated menacing. Check the last bi-weekly stats. I sent them out today, so if you're on my list, you would have gotten those. The stats in Clintonville are all at normal range. We don't have any spikes of certain crimes right now within Clintonville. We did have a robbery on the 14th at 1:19 in the morning. A suspect brandished a firearm at the Taco Bell at 5154 North High Street at the drive-through window and demanded money. You see here, we've got a trespass trespass agent authorization form that was just sent to the University Village at 2981 Olentangy River Road. That's going to allow officers to trespass people off of that property without the owner being there. And the last thing I got is we just completed a presentation on the 29th for the CLOs. Presented a presentation on the 29th for the Cub Scout Pack 24 at Overwood Church. They were having an officer appreciation day. Any questions?
Questions from the commissioners? Any questions from the public for Officer Brown? Thank you as always for the update.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Hui, Department of Neighborhoods.
Have a little bit more than usual for you guys. Good evening, Clintonville commissioners and audience. David Huey with the Department of Neighborhoods. I'm filling in right now for Clintonville and other people on my staff too. I'm first handing out I think Catherine sent that to you guys, the area commission training schedule. I have one of those. I'll wait for you guys to while you guys are getting that around. Are there questions? We had some legal debate about MOUs, and if anybody has questions about that, I'll be glad to answer them. If there's a potential MOU that Brecken Parks, and yes, I will get a hold of whoever's doing that. Who's Tiffany?
Tiffany's with Blueprint, and I think was she a part of the planning? Tiffany Kahn, was she involved in the Arbor Day conversation?
No.
Okay, I think she was in the CC, I think, on the MOU.
She's not Brecken Parks.
Conversation. Okay, the Brecken Parks person, do you remember their name?
Rosalie.
Okay, I know her well, so
Okay.
I can talk to her, but we've all, I mean, when I got that email from whoever sent that to me,
That was me.
yeah, I mean, I usually automatically respond no, because I know the answer, but it was with the city department, so it was a little, I hadn't seen that before, and other city departments need to be informed that area commissions don't have the authority to, sign MOUs or MOAs or any of that stuff. I think Rob, in the emails that I forwarded to you guys, Rob's our city attorney, I think there's ways around it. Don't call it an MOU or MOA, maybe like delineation of responsibilities, and use that language that he gave us as far as this is not a legally binding contract. We always have discouraged area commissions from MOUs or contracts or anything like that, because it can get legal and they're mostly not enforceable. So I think we can work around it if Brecken Parks insists on some kind of thing, and like I said, like delineation of duties for the Arbor Fest or whatever it is.
And if I could just context for the fellow commissioners, it came out of a planning discussion, and I think it looks like Rexon Park may have had MOUs in the past with other entities like Flow. So to me, ideally, the Clintonville Area Commission is not signing any document. We're just helping with community engagement around getting attendance at the festival, since it is a citywide festival just located at Park of Roses. So that's my goal coming out of this conversation. Thank you, Mr.
Yeah, if there's any questions about that, I will contact Ms. Hendrick tomorrow, as I just talked to her today. I didn't know she was involved with this. A couple of things I'll say about the training schedule for next year. I talked to Stephen a little bit before the meeting started. This planning and variance training is different than you guys are used to. I don't know that any of you commissioners have taken it. We offered a couple last year. We're offering 3 of them this year because I think it's so good. It's in person at the Coleman Center. It's at the computer lab, so it's interactive with our planning folks. And I think our planning division looks through the same lens that commissioners should look through when they're deciding about zoning applications. And they show you, it's a 2-hour training. They show you all the tools they use to make decisions. The planning division, which I think is very close to the same things you guys should be looking at. So we're offering it 3 different times. It's limited to 15 people, because that's all the computers we have down there. And RSVP, they do fill up. The first one's, there's the first training February 28th. It's RSVP, you can RSVP through me. We don't send out a training announcement for those since they're so limited in how many people we can have. And we do ask for feedback on our trainings, and we have one of the things that we got a lot of positive feedback was our networking sessions last year. We have 2 more that are scheduled this year. Those are meetings where we have a very brief something from the city, and then the rest of the time it's just interaction between different commissioners. Try to have them in fun places. The complaints I got about them is, why is it on the north side? Why is it on wherever we put them, the side of town that didn't get them? So this time we're considering the casino on the west side, and we're considering Planks on Parsons, which has been really a really good community partner with us. So north and west and south this year, maybe we're still thinking about that. Highlight growth and density panel discussion at the Reed Center. We did that last year, I think in January. Great training. It will be with city staff that deals with growth and density, and I think that was our most attended training last year. There was like 60 people there. And then we have our typical city trainings in the fall, zoning training, and code enforcement, training with city departments. We have our city attorneys training on March 28th, which we always get feedback from commissioners that they say we need more city attorney stuff. So that's just city attorney. So it'll be Rob Tobias and Steve Dunbar with the zone initiative. So enough about that. Catherine, I think, sent you guys the update on fiscal orders. So we're working through that. I had a call with your website person tomorrow with our fiscal thing. Just so you know, especially the treasurer, I mean, we cannot, with the P cards, and this is, I know this has been clunky and commissioners are upset, but we cannot pay monthly payments. We have to pay everything for a year. It's just not the way, I'm not a fiscal person, but we can't do that. So we have to work through these things of where you guys have been paying monthly to get through. We have to pay the whole year.
Is your call with Ellie Knowles, the person who is our webmaster? Okay, so perhaps we can pay her up front for a year if she fills out.
That's what I'm hoping to accomplish with her tomorrow, our fiscal person. Hope to have a new liaison here next month. We've done interviews and made an offer, so we gotta get through the city drug testing and background check before I can tell you. There's I think, I don't know if I sent this to Catherine, maybe there's a tree planting grant. Do we know about this?
I haven't seen that one.
Okay. I'll make sure I send it to you. This is Rosalie, actually. Recreation and Parks will offer up to $2,000 to 5 organizations that demonstrate a need for an ability to complete a native tree planting project on private property in the city of Columbus. And there's some dates, informational sessions, Tuesday, February 6th and Wednesday, February 21st. And again, I'll send this to you tomorrow. And these are Zoom meetings. The grant is due, I think, late February, like February 29th. So I know Clintonville loves trees, so I'll send that to you tomorrow. And I did send the crossing complaint to send it to Swid, actually. She'll get back to me, I'm sure, on that. And if there's any other questions, that's all I have.
Any questions from the commissioners? Any questions from the public for the Department of Neighborhoods?
So what was the name of that initiative, the tree one we just talked about?
Tree assistance program.
Okay, thank you.
And the person that from Rec and Parks that sent this to me is Rosalie Henman. So you can contact her, but I will share this with commissioners tomorrow. Catherine hasn't done so already. And by the way, Catherine's handling all your fiscal stuff. So
She's been great.
yeah, of course,
As always.
she's always great. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
That will be moving on to the approval of our 2024 committee rosters. I will note, I believe that the co-chairs of Green Spot are traveling, and I did not get a Green Spot committee roster yet. We had discussion among commissioners last meeting about what Green Spot looks like this year, so I would like to table that committee for March discussion, just because we don't have a roster to approve. So I guess I'm making a formal motion to table the Green Spot roster. If I could have a second, we'll go ahead and wait. Thank you, Commissioner Lay Osborne. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, same sign. Okay, excellent. I did not ask the committee chairs to make a presentation on all of these individuals. They did confirm, so I have addresses here for some, and then for other committees, the chairs have confirmed that they are Clintonville residents. Chair Hardwick, because you are here, if you would like to say anything about the roster that you're putting forward, I welcome you to do so.
The two new people on the committee, one of them is a professional engineer and the other is a landscape architect. The only person who applied timely and didn't get on, it was one of the hardest no's I had. A young enthusiastic person with experience in the city attorney's office. He was also in District 3, and that's one thing that we already have 3 of us in District 3, me and 2 others. I thought asking for a 4th person from there was probably too much. If you ever, Jordan Griffith is his name, if you ever hear what he is, he looked very qualified. And the reason we got my report late is I was trying to figure out a way to tell him no and to express appreciation for his application. But the other people are current members of the committee. No. And now I sent you all the bio information for everyone, including Mr. Griffin.
Thank you, very much, Chair Hardwick. Is there any discussion among commissioners around the zoning and variance roster? Would we like to vote on these as individual committees rather than all together?
Individual.
Okay. I will move to approve the roster proposed by Chair Hardwick for zoning and variance committee. Is there a second?
So it's,
Was that, you both said second? Okay, great.
I have a question. Do you want to know who voted for what, or just the numbers?
I don't have a preference.
Just do the numbers.
We'll go ahead and do a voice vote, I think. Commissioner Moritz, I'll start with you if you don't mind, sorry. You're getting ready over there now.
We're voting on the whole block.
This is for zoning and variance, yeah. So I'll start with Commissioner Morris.
Okay, yes.
Commissioner Miller.
Yes.
Commissioner Kroll.
Yes.
Commissioner Hively.
Yes.
I am a yes. Commissioner Lotta.
Yes.
Commissioner Nutter.
Yes.
Commissioner Lay Osborne.
Yes.
Commissioner Wyman.
Yes.
Thank you. Congratulations on your committee. Next up, Chair Melissa Dahl for the Elections Committee, I do not believe is in the audience today. She has proposed, these are all folks who have served on the Elections Committee this past year. They were approved. And you've got Ann Hinkener, former chair of the committee as well. These are all Clintonville addresses, very well-versed attorneys, and pursuant to our bylaws. Also, there's nobody who sits on the commission or is related to a commissioner on this committee because that is a conflict of interest.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course.
What are the 3 districts that are up this next year?
Me.
So
5,
5,
4,
4,
and 7.
it's 5, 4, and 7. So does it matter if those people are in 5, 4, or 7? The volunteers?
Not in our bylaws. It hasn't been spelled out anywhere.
Okay.
That's something if it's something that does matter to any commissioners, though, that's something we could talk about with the elections chair as a committee rule, always in the future. Any other questions or discussion from commissioners? All right, is there a motion to approve the elections committee roster proposed by the chair? Is there a second?
Second.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Moritz?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Kroll?
Yes.
Commissioner Hively?
Yes.
I am a yes. Commissioner Lotta?
Yes.
Commissioner Nutter?
Yes.
Commissioner Lee Osborne?
Yes.
Commissioner Wyman?
Yes.
Thank you. The final roster that we have to approve for tonight was proposed by Planning and Development Chair Eliza Pendexter, and she has included the addresses here. I believe Jordan Griffith is the new member to the committee, and he is the gentleman that Chair Hardwick referred to. He had expressed interest in 2 committees, so we are glad that he was able to go. That is the same person, right? That he's able to volunteer on the Planning and Development Committee. And our outgoing chair, Tara, is on the committee as well. Is there any question? Obviously, Chair Pendexter, I don't believe is here tonight. Is there any question from commissioners about our Planning and Development roster? Yeah, please.
There's 8.
There are 8.
With a tie.
Do they vote on it?
They don't vote.
They don't vote on anything?
Something else we could consider in a committee
So-
role.
They don't vote on anything. When,
I think they like share survey results and studies.
It's a
all their
collaborative.
plans, no one votes on plans.
I haven't seen a vote ever.
So the collaborative teams, and they make the plans, and we are the ones voting on the plans. But they work as a committee, they don't vote on it. It's at least the meetings that I have.
Elections committee doesn't vote either, I guess. It's really just zoning and variance that votes on items that come to us.
And that's very typical.
Any other discussion among commissioners?
The only thing that bugs me again is there's no biographies. The only person who sent anything out was Chair Hardwick.
He did send earlier.
You know, again, I'm gonna repeat that bothers me, that I don't know who I'm voting on. Basically, again, just rubber stamping a list of names and addresses.
I hear you, and I think most of these folks we did get a bio for last year, so I wasn't as worried about it because we're voting on a lot of the same rosters. And obviously, we know Chair Botero, and I had Jordan Griffith's bio, so I was not as concerned about it with this committee.
So we have new members.
But we do have new members, so your point's really well taken. If you would like to motion to table it, we could go back to P&D and ask them for statements. I'm happy to entertain that motion. If other
I'll make that motion.
commissioners, is there a second for Commissioner Wyman's motion to table this roster to March so we could get bios? There's a second. Okay, we'll go ahead and take a voice vote. Commissioner Moritz. This is a motion, to be clear, this is a motion to table the planning and development roster so we could gather biographies before the next meeting.
So can I amend the motion, or is that not possible?
You can move to,
Then I amend the motion for each election or for each roster to get bios in the future. Not just for the planning and development, but for all the committees.
so so we did just vote to approve the first 2, so they are approved.
I
In
meant
the future. I don't know that can be,
bylaws.
that's a bylaws
That's a
change. So we could consider making that a bylaws change. We'd have to have a hearing tonight and be voted on next meeting. Or we could try to make that a best practice moving forward as part of our procedures. Just like during the last meeting, I suggested that we should promote our committee volunteerism earlier because of the new timeline that we have for appointing commissioners or chairs and things. It feels a little delayed now that we're in the new year. So we could make that a part of our process moving forward.
Can we add an agenda item next month just to talk about the committees? Because if I'm looking at this list, there's a portion of 43214 that's really not represented. So I would like to see maybe some outreach on how we can get a little more diversity on that, especially at P&D. Just, I mean, granted they're volunteers, but you know, if we have everybody from one pocket, and we're making decisions for everywhere, and I'd say the same conversation regarding zoning and variance. You know, if we have so many districts represented, but then there's nobody up in 8 or 9 on there anymore, I just think we're missing an opinion that would probably be valuable on both of those committees. So if we can add that to the agenda next month, and maybe we toss in the bio thing together and best practices moving forward.
I'd be happy to have a committee outreach best practices discussion on the agenda next. Is that okay with you guys? Great. So returning to the motion at hand, we have a motion and a second to table the planning and development roster for the March meeting for the intent of gathering bios about our volunteers. I'll go ahead and start with Commissioner Moritz again.
I vote no.
Thank you. Commissioner
Yes.
Miller? Yes. Commissioner Cole?
Yes.
Commissioner Hiley?
No.
Commissioner Lotta?
Yes.
Commissioner Nutter?
Yes.
Commissioner Liasmore?
Yes.
Commissioner Wyman?
Yes.
And I too will vote yes. So I'll touch base with Chair Pendexter and ask her to gather some brief bios, and we'll go ahead and review those before the next March meeting. Thank you, Commissioner Wyman, for bringing that up. That brings us to the very fun agenda item that is our bylaws change that we discussed last time, and to the most recent conversation, we will be voting to whether or not to approve this time. So thank you to Commissioner Kroll for pinch hitting and trying to help me reformat this last minute when I asked him this morning. If you'll recall, last meeting we went through the portion of the bylaws that was not streamlined with our new election timeline and tried to better represent that timeline here. I'm trying to find the page. So everything is marked in track changes. I can go ahead and read the section if that would be helpful for colleagues before we this change. I know Commissioner Liasmore, you weren't here last year, but this, I think it was all around changing the dates to line up with our business calendar now.
I think it might be just a good idea to read it for whoever might be watching.
Yeah, absolutely. So I will start. We are in this section on page 9 underneath the committees, and this is referring to all of our standing committees. So the commission chairperson following the January annual meeting shall appoint a chairperson for each of the standing committees established in accordance with the bylaws. The chairpersons of the Planning and Development Committee, Historic Buildings Committee, Tech and Community Relations, and Zoning Variance shall recommend the commission members of those committees who may be commissioners or non-commissioners. The chairperson of the election committee shall recommend to the commission members of that committee who shall all be non-commissioners. The commission shall approve the membership of standing committees at the February regular meeting of the commission, which is what we just did. Appointment to the standing committee shall be for the period of 1 year until the next February regular meeting. Each approved member of any committee, whether they are a commissioner or non-commissioner, shall be counted towards a quorum and may vote on matters before the committee of which they are a member. Sorry, I started to do my and then I think that's it, yeah. So this was
these are all just formatting.
Yeah, because it's been PDF to Word, it's like there's all sorts of spacing that needs fixed. Are there any questions or additional comments from commissioners on this streamlining of our bylaws? Are there any questions or comments from the public? Yes, please.
Is there already something that's not been done? If it says that the commission shall approve, and we've already tabled through March, it says approved February. And so does that need to be cleaned up to say, shall vote and approve by March?
I think moving forward, the regular order of business will be that it is approved in February. I think this is because we didn't have sufficient information to make a vote this year. I don't think this will be our normal practice as we're transitioning to this new timeline. But I appreciate the point. Mr. Lee, did you have a comment as well?
There's supposed to be something in there about committee members having voting privilege. Did you say that?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is under C. Each approved member of any committee, whether they are on a commission, whether they are a commissioner or a non-commissioner, shall be counted towards a quorum and may vote on matters before the committee of which they are a member.
Perfect.
And I think that mirrors the language we discussed last meeting.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions? Yes, Commissioner Morris.
Just a question of clarification. So none of us are now members of any of those
Standing committees.
committees. So
I don't know whether any of the commissioners will be volunteering on Green Spot, but I don't think they vote on anything either.
Yeah. Commissioner Miller, you resigned from, you're done with zoning now, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to approve the bylaws changes?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
second.
We'll go ahead with the voice vote, starting with Commissioner Lawrence.
Yes.
Commissioner Miller.
Yes.
Commissioner Kroll.
Yes.
Commissioner Hiley.
Yes.
Commissioner Lotta.
Yes.
Commissioner Nutter.
Yes.
Commissioner Lee Osborne. Yes. Commissioner Merman.
Yes.
And I'll also be a yes. Commissioner Moritz, would it be helpful if I started with Commissioner Wyman, since you are the secretary this year when we do votes?
I ordered it.
You have it ordered. Okay.
So it goes around the table,
Okay.
rather than from District 1 to District 9.
I just don't want to make that tricky on you. Okay, thank you. Fantastic. Next up, we've got Chair Hardwick here to present the zoning and variance committee agenda item that he heard just prior to this meeting in this room. It's been a long night for you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Oh, yeah, please.
Really sorry, just one point of clarification on the
Yeah.
on the bylaws piece. Sorry to interrupt. If you can send me the final version.
Yes.
And you have the form.
To enroll in the clerk's office or whatnot.
There's like a form that you have to sign that says as chair of the commission, certified that these are the
Yeah,
accurate bylaws.
I think I have it from our last change. I'll send that
If
to
you
you.
don't, I'll send it to you.
Okay.
But in the bylaws, you will publish it in the city bulletin, and 10 days after publication, they go into effect.
Okay.
Just for clarification.
Great, we'll get that to you hopefully over this weekend if that works. Thank you.
And if I could just briefly address what was said earlier about terms of diversity into districts. The reason I think Commissioner Miller got on the committee is then Commissioner White recruited him. So if you know people in your your districts, encourage people to apply, and that we can't nominate people who don't apply. So that's my encouragement to you over the next year. Look when you interact with people in your district, think about that, and that would be a big help for the chairs. And also it was our committee rules that mandated that we do things that you approve the committee rules. You probably will see a new proposal next month, assuming Columbia Gas doesn't take all of the time of our next meeting. We plan to give you revised committee rules, but they are linked to in the agenda that I circulated to all of you. Since we're going to be probably voting on them next month, if you see anything you'd like changed to them that you think could help you, serve you better, let me know. We're here to help you, and if we can do it better, we'd like to do it. Okay, now on to the actual agenda item. BZA 23153, 3070 North High. The applicant seeks a variance to reduce the required parking spaces from 44 to the existing 12. We recommended approval by a vote of 6 yes and 1 abstention. This is the former 4C's location. The variance was triggered by the fact that the proposed hookah lounge is considered a restaurant use and a food and restaurant use, so therefore they have a higher parking requirement. They're not taking away parking. It's the same amount of parking. There was I sent out notices. I didn't hear anything back from the preschool. The applicant reported that he reported an oral at the meeting. He reported that he got at least oral non-disagreement. the people across the street, the animal hospital across the street, I see, gave you their letter, supported it. 2 residents from 10 Weber came and spoke against it, concerned. The biggest concern is the other 2 parking variances recently in the area. I don't know if they're here or not, they can speak for themselves if they're here. But that was their concern. I did get one other comment that was concerned about the fact that it involved a hookah lounge. We did hear, one thing at least I found persuasive is that there's a cigar lounge down the street on Longview and with very limited parking, and I don't think anyone's heard of a complaint about parking from the cigar lounge. The applicant is working on, although he does not promise this, working on shared parking because he will have shared parking agreements with neighbors. He does not have any right now, but he's working on that. The committee just looked at this lot, and anything that goes in here would require a variance. He's not decreasing the number of spaces. And the parking study satisfied the city of Columbus. It's like you saw all the pictures, you saw everything the city of Columbus saw, all the pictures he had to take, and they looked at that and said, we think there's plenty of on-street parking. The former commissioner from District 1 said that he normally sees very little use of the high street parking to begin with. So that was the reason why he got even the most skeptical members of our committee to vote yes on this agenda. He also did meet with the folks at 10 Weber, who they were very clear that the 2 people who spoke were very clear they opposed it. Their board was not going to support it, but they did appreciate the fact that he came and met with them and spent time to talk with them. He also spoke with the neighbor at the preschool, and I think the people at the meeting, they pointed out, I think one thing that probably may have endeared him to her is he didn't even know there was a funeral home in the past. Maybe I shouldn't be saying that because that just reinforces that image. So that was why we did. I'm sorry for my rambling a little bit, but I thank you for your time. Unless you have any questions for me, I'll turn it back to Chair Bolton.
Any questions for Chair Hardwick? Any commissioners? Any questions from the public for Chair Hardwick?
Sandy Simbro. First of all, I think the square footage at the cigar bar might be considerably less than this. So, and the partnership parking would be, I think, beneficial. And is this parking variance specific to this business? Because when this business, if it thrives, great. If it does not thrive, and another business wants to go in, i.e. a restaurant.
Yes, a restaurant.
Then what we're saying is 12 spaces is enough for any use on that site.
I don't know if there's any use more intensive than a restaurant. Do you know, is there any restaurant that any use that requires more parking than a restaurant? Than C4? I don't, but that's
probably not.
Probably not.
Because there is no on-street parking on Walhalla, so it would all fall onto High Street. And as I have said before, if there's 10 parking spaces and you give them away, you can only give away 10 parking spaces once. And we keep in Clintonville giving away parking spaces. And so it creates a hardship on the residential area. This one, I have to admit, is a little unique because it's going to be hard for it to impact the residences unless the people want to go, I don't know what the street north is. What is it? No, Weber South. What's the street north of California? Yeah, you know, unless people want to park on California and walk down, and California is incredibly narrow and one side only. So it's just be very careful about how many spaces you keep giving away.
She said the Parkland study was on East California, East Weber, Tibbet Road, and West Weber. And That's what the city told him to study part, to take pictures.
What's it gonna be? I'm sorry.
They-
Vote lounge?
That's, yes, it
Vote
is.
lounge.
And the applicant speaks after me.
But it can be
Yes.
anything.
Yeah.
The parking variance isn't for a hookah lounge, it's for that property.
Yes, and that's one thing we also discussed is you don't do that, don't vote, don't think you shouldn't vote yes because you like the idea of a hookah lounge or no because you don't like the idea of a hookah lounge. You're absolutely right, this could be a restaurant in the future.
To clarify, the variance stays with the building.
Yes.
Are there any other questions from the public for Chair Hardwick before we move to the applicants?
I have a question for Steve.
Yeah, sure.
So what were the streets for the parking study? Because we got that email from Suzanne earlier regarding the parking study.
Oh, yeah.
And you said West Weber, but she was talking East Weber, or what?
Yes, I think she was concerned because she saw a line drawn on the side of the street where there was no parking, but that was just as I remember right, that was just a line to show that was the street that he was taking the pictures on, not that they could park on that side of the street. And that the city responded back and said, no, he did exactly what we asked him to do, and our opinion stands. So I think it was a misunderstanding of what the diagram he sent in meant.
I have a question. You mentioned that he was exploring parking partnerships. Who were those with? Maybe the animal hospital across the street?
I think he was talking with the preschool, with McDonald's, and he can explain better. But he never promised those would come through. So I just want to make sure what he's promising, what he's not promising. That was a promise to engage, not a promise to succeed.
Would the applicant like to add anything to Chair Hardwick's presentation? The applicant Patterson?
Sure, I can speak briefly. So my name is Abir Kiplu, and I'll be the one who will be opening up the King's Lounge. Thank you for this opportunity. Just quick things to address. I mean, I've been very clear earlier in the meeting, but I've spoken with McDonald's, daycare, and the animal shelter for shared parking. They all gave me kind of good perspective, but at least from the animal shelter, we do have an agreement. It may not be a contract, but she has 7 spaces, parking space that we're willing to share. And from her end, at least, their operation hours, hers and mine are a bit different. Ours is mostly occupied after 5-6 p.m. when when everyone is off work. So she has a little bit of trouble with her parking spaces in that space. So she's willing to use hours during normal hours, specifically in the morning, where we probably won't be open at 8 a.m. So yeah, so she'll be able to use those and sometime in the afternoon. That's one thing I want to address. That as per the parking study shows, the East California is two-way street, so there was spaces available for people to park, as well as West Weber, East Weber, and yeah, that's more about it.
Thank you. Are there any questions from commissioners for the applicant? Are there any questions from the public for the applicant? I would just like to apply. Yeah, oh, please.
I have a comment on, you just mentioned East Weber again. And that's, I guess, the question from Suzanne. Parking spaces on East Weber. There's nothing on the north side on East Weber. I don't know where parking begins on the south side on East Weber.
It's cut off between Tibbet and Weber.
Yeah.
Say it again?
Actually, it's where Tibbet and Weber intersect.
Yeah, there is parking right after Tibbet on the south side.
And it's never occupied.
On Weber.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And it runs all
All the way up on Weber.
at least to east. No, all the way.
Okay.
Till any and all.
No,
But
there's a
not the street, the
block where
school.
there isn't any parking.
Yeah, there is. It's some
After
interruption.
Finley, I think.
It's after Finley.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
It's east of Finley.
We live right there. There's no way to ever park there.
Yeah. Okay.
I have just a question, Mr. Kifu. As I understand, you had mentioned at a previous meeting, you have experience running these types of businesses, and have a good understanding, it sounds like, of the capacity of parking that you would need and how much volume you anticipate. Do you feel what you currently have in addition to the street parking is enough?
Yes, I believe so. I've worked in the east side of Columbus. There's a hookah lounge called Bermuda. I hope Ron and James been working with them for a while. I also been around a lot of hookah lounges, all in the High Street area. Some of them don't even have parking spaces. They park on the streets. Mostly when people go to hookah lounge, they also carpool. So that's one of the things that we may not need all the space. And also keep it like hookah lounge normally it's not too packed where you see about full capacity. It's a very chill environment where where you normally it's not too packed, and if it is, it's normally in the evening where there is no operation hour to use all this on-street parking.
And the site is also close to a bus stop, is that
So
correct?
yes,
And a lot of students might be.
The bus stop, and we also can have a bike rack installed per that site plan.
You preempted Commissioner Moore's bike rack question.
Yeah, we will have enough. And it's also a walkable area where local customers can come in and even discover other businesses while walking toward our area. So,
Any additional questions from commissioners? Is there a motion to vote? To approve? Is there a second? We'll go ahead and start with Commissioner Moritz.
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
I would vote yes, with the comment that, this lounge is being held to a parking standard that would be a more intense use if it was a restaurant. My understanding too is that a restaurant would require much more dumpster space, which could potentially, so if it would happen to become a restaurant in the future, there would be additional dumpsters which would remove parking, which would require them to come back for additional variances.
Great point. Commissioner Kroll?
Yes.
Commissioner Hiley?
Yes.
Commissioner Lotta?
Yes.
Commissioner Nutter?
No.
Commissioner Lee Osborne?
Abstain.
Commissioner Wyman?
No.
I will vote yes, and I will note to the applicant, thank you for working on the parking agreement. I think that's the type of outreach that we encourage a lot of our developers to consider when they come to the neighborhood. So can you share the final count on that when you're ready, Commissioner Moritz?
I do 2 no, 1 abstain, and 6 yeses.
So your motion, your variance passes. Congratulations and good luck with the project.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item that we'll pull up is a presentation from WorkC from Maria Schaffer. So go ahead and take a moment to come on up while I pull this up. Is the PDF okay to run through?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'll just try to make it full screen real quick.
Good luck, man.
Says, there we go. You can just like give me the eye when you want me to motion, or if you would like to take control, you're welcome to as well.
That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Maria Schaffer. I'm the Associate Director of Transportation Planning at the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission. And I'm here just to give you some information about our draft Metropolitan Transportation Plan that we are opening a public comment period on and are looking for public comment and review and feedback. So you can go to the next slide. Just a little background on WorkC, the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission, WorkC for short. Hopefully you've heard of us and are familiar with us, but we are a regional council for Columbus. We are a growing region, and we serve just a 15-county region. We work in areas of transportation and infrastructure, which I'm here to talk about tonight. We also are recently have been designated as an economic development district by the federal government, so I'm working to drive investments to local communities through for various infrastructure and development projects, as well as planning and sustainability, looking at the long term, preparing our region for growth. And we are a data resource. We do data research mapping, work closely with the city on things like that. And we also have a residential services program. We also work closely with our local, state, and federal legislators on policy issues that affect and impact local governments. And again, we're really working to bring investment to our region and connect our local communities with funding for infrastructure and other development projects. And then, of course, engaging in the with our local residents and employers. So yes, thank you for advancing. We are a growing region. I'm sure you've read the news and have heard by now that, as of the 15-county region, we are expecting to be a region of over 3 million people by 2050. And so that's one of the reasons we are doing this, we do this metropolitan transportation plan. We can go on to the next slide. So what does that mean? That means we're looking at an additional 726,000 people in our region and over close to 360,000 more jobs in the region by 2050. So as you can imagine, that creates a strain on our transportation system. And if you want to go to the next slide, that's one of the main reasons we do this metropolitan transportation plan. And as the metropolitan planning organization for the region, we are charged by the federal government as stewards of federal transportation dollars to do a region-wide plan every 4 years that identifies the long-range transportation priorities. And we do this. We do this every 4 years. It looks out at least 20 plus years, so this one is looking out to 2050. It's a fiscally constrained plan, which means not all the projects that are identified are funded, but we do a financial forecast and cost estimates, and we need to show that we think all of the projects that are identified are financially feasible by 2050. And then we do submit this document to ODOT and USDOT every 4 years, and it really is the guiding document. As a region, when we're working with our local governments to apply for federal funding, that they want to see that the project is identified as a priority in this plan. I'm going to go to the next slide. Again, why is this important? We are growing, demographics are changing, and demands on our transportation system are changing. And again, this really does make our region eligible for federal transportation dollars, whether that's discretionary funding or in the regional formula funding that kind of comes through on a regular basis through our agency. I'm going to move to the next slide. So we developed this plan based on a set of 6 goals, and everything is based on these 6 broad ideas. And so we really want to create sustainable neighborhoods, position Central Ohio to attract economic and retain economic opportunity. We want to protect natural resources, increase regional collaboration, provide transportation and mobility options that benefit the health, safety, and welfare of all people, and we want to reduce per capita energy consumption and promote alternative fuel resources. So these are the 6 broad ideas. The plan is meant to guide transportation investments and identify projects that will best help us achieve those goals through investing in the system. I'm going to move to the next slide. So the process that we go through for this, to develop this plan, it is a multi-year process. We had first identify those goals. We actually identify objectives and targets that are measurable for each of those goals. And we also look through state and local plans to look for what are the projects that have already been identified at the local level. If it's already been through a planning process and identified as a priority, we want to make sure it's considered in this plan. And we also look at data. We're looking at the census data. What's the growth projection? We're projecting population and employment into the future to understand where people are living and working in the future. And then we take that data, we're looking at crash data. Like I said, we're a data agency, so lots of quantitative analysis involved here. And we do just that. We're analyzing, we're kind of crunching the numbers, what makes sense based on what the data is telling us. We're also doing a lot of public engagement. I hope you maybe had a chance to visit our interactive web map that we had published over the summer, where we invited anyone to come in and review the candidate projects that we had proposed for the plan, make comments on them, even draw right on the map and suggest your own projects. We take all those projects, we run them through evaluation criteria based on those goals to identify which projects, again, will best help us reach those goals. And then kind of the meat of the plan, what the deliverable, if you will, are a set of regional strategies and projects that together as a region we want to work on. So MORPC is not an implementing agency, but we do work with our local governments in our area to help identify funding sources for projects and help shepherd them through the development process with our state partners in ODOT as well as federal. I know we developed a big document that documents this whole process that is a riveting read. and the whole time, again, public participation. So what I'm here to present today is our draft strategies and projects. The draft strategies there's a long list that I'm not going to take you through each of them, but they are kind of categorized into two different broad categories. So there are system management strategies. So these are strategies that are aimed to at our existing system. How are we going to preserve and maintain the system that we have in place? How are we going to make that system more efficient and operate more efficiently, especially with you thinking like intelligent transportation systems? How are we making that system safer and more secure? And then how are we managing the demand for our roadways? So how are we looking at managing single occupancy vehicle travel? And the other side of that, the other group of categories are, we are a growing region. We will have to invest in the expansion of our transportation system. So these are the strategies that involve the infrastructure projects and expanding bike and pedestrian infrastructure, transit infrastructure, freight and intermodal facilities, as well as roadways and freeways and multimodal hubs. And if you want to look at the, if you want to look at the full list of strategies that is not quite up on our website yet, but will be by the end of this week. So I guess we have one day. Yes. So the draft projects. The map on the right is not meant to be illegible, but it's just meant to give you kind of an idea of the amount of projects that have been identified in our region as a draft. The pie chart here shows, just kind of categorizes how that investment is proposed to, what types of projects that they're proposed on. So you'll see the largest portion of that pie are transit projects, which we're proposing about $13 billion worth of investment in the transit system out through 2050. The next biggest piece is that management and operations component. Maintaining what we have is a large priority as well. And you can kind of see the how the other project types compare. Again, you can this whole regional draft list of projects is available on a public web map on our website, so you can go and you can click, you can pan around, zoom in. I do have a zoom in of Clintonville next, but I just wanted to make you let you know that's available. And you can actually click on the project. It'll give you cost estimates. It'll give you a time frame that we're expecting it to be built, and you can actually comment on individual projects as well. So we're looking at a total of about $35 billion in investment in the transportation system through the year 2050. I'm going to go to the next slide. So I'm going to start here with the transit project, and this is kept at the regional level because it really makes sense to look at it at the regional level. The Metropolitan Transportation Plan does identify funding for the local bus system. We don't show it on the map because it changes frequently. CODA's doing service changes every 3 months. So when we're talking about a regional plan looking out to 2050, it doesn't make sense to put those on the map, but it does include funding assumptions that will take place, as well as increasing the service from beyond existing levels. But what we're seeing here are what we call high capacity transit. So this is transit service that is beyond existing buses, premium. You'll see the BRT corridors, bus rapid transit corridors, which are being planned right now on West Broad, East Main, and the Northwest corridor along Olentangy River Road. That's part of the Link Us initiative, which I'll talk more about at the end here. So those projects, those corridors are actually in development, they're in design, they're being designed for bus rapid transit, following pretty intense alternatives and analysis to identify that mode as appropriate on those routes. The other purple kind of swaths, if you will, you'll see the one going to the northeast that aims to connect downtown with the airport, Easton and beyond. Those are swaths because further study is needed to identify an exact route alignment and mode, but those are the general corridors that we think will be fiscally feasible by 2050. So the northeast is included, and then on the south side, you'll see two. We think that one of those is fiscally feasible by 2050, but again, more analysis will be needed to identify what's the best alignment and mode. And then the pink lines those are the Cleveland Avenue, and that's where our current CMAX line. So we know that there's currently transit service on that line. It's a little bit more premium than a regular bus service, but we're looking at identifying what else can, what increased transit service can be included on that corridor. Say similarly with East Broad, that's been identified for not a full premium high capacity transit service, but something beyond what you see in our existing bus service. The orange swaths, if you will, are not considered financially feasible for construction, but they've been identified through other various planning activities and studies going on in the region that just require more studies, require the identification of a funding source. So that includes the kind of northwest and up north. Passenger rail was mentioned. We do have, our region did receive, our state and partners have received funding to study passenger rail. So that's to indicate that we have funding for studies. Similarly, ODOT is doing a study on the 270 on the north side and connecting over to the east part of our region as a result of the economic development that's going on the east side of our region. So looking at what the workforce needs in transit. So that's transit at the regional level. And if you want to move on, I will move on to Clintonville. So, and bear with me here. You guys are our first presentation. So I'm realizing this map is not projecting the best. So we might need to increase the size of our the projects. But I want to emphasize here, so these are the proposed projects, priority projects in this area. This plan is a regional plan, so some of the local priorities might not show up. But I want to emphasize that I'm here to get feedback. So if you see anything that's missing or concerning on there, please let me know, or visit the website to submit comments. But also, I also want to emphasize, so the bike and pedestrian projects, the standalone bike and pedestrian projects that are in green, we have, while we've tried to identify priorities that we know about and kind of made it through that process, we reserve a funding to it. We assume that there's going to be, bike and pedestrian is extremely important. We have one of our performance measures in the plan is that every arterial and collector roadway in the urban area should have a sidewalk on it. So instead of identifying every single sidewalk gap and showing it on the map, we just have a kind of a line item funding assumption that those are priorities and would be eligible for federal funding if needed. But that being said, we do want to show local priorities as well. I think what you'll see here, what probably stands out is on 315 and 71, the dotted lines there are identified managed lane projects. So if you're familiar with the smart lane on I-670, those two corridors are kind of being studied for similar treatments. And then I think you see the connection to the Old Painted Trail, which is set for, I believe, is going to construction this summer. But again, if you have this map now, and you can please visit the website if you would like to explore it further. and we can, if you want to move on, we can always come back to it, or I'm happy to take questions now.
I'll wait. Oh, wait, I do have one question.
Okay. So yeah, I'll try to wrap up quickly. This is just overview of kind of the project or the process we've been through the past couple of years. Mainly looking at 2024. After this public comment period, we're going to be incorporating the comments, doing the impact analysis. So trying to understand how these projects are proposing are impacting air quality, transportation disadvantaged communities, as well as the environment. We're going to be publishing a full draft document in another public comment period, and hope to adopt the full plan in May of this year by our board. I mentioned Link Us. I hope you've heard of it. Link Us is a comprehensive mobility initiative to bring transformational mobility options to the region. MORPC is partnering with CODA, with the City of Columbus on this initiative, but it's really about historic investments in public transit, in bike and pedestrian infrastructure, and then creating walkable communities and really connecting more people to opportunities. As we grow, we want to grow better and make our region truly accessible and with mobility options. So all of the proposals and activities kind of being planned as part of this initiative is included in that Metropolitan Transportation Plan. You can kind of think of it as almost an implementation of previous planning activities. So if you are interested in having a special Link Us presentation, I or our friends at CODA, I'm sure the city would be happy to provide more information, but that's probably a whole meeting in and of itself. So couldn't not mention it. I think I have one more slide. Yes, so what's next? So you guys are the first of 54 presentations that our team will be out making to area commissions, city, we go beyond Columbus. You saw our geographic footprint there. So city councils, the township trustees, we're sharing the draft projects, looking for feedback. We are having an open house at MORPC on March 19th, 3:30 to 6:30, and yes, we're looking for input. So I think that's my last slide. So if you want to go back to the map, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
I hope my colleagues will not mind. I am going to ask about this specific intersection, and I don't expect you to have the exact answer at this moment, but we have a neighbor in District 5 who has to regularly hop on 71. I've brought this up at multiple meetings with anybody who will listen who's at all related to transportation. There's a jurisdiction issue because it's a township and the City of Columbus, and it's the interstate. So and I don't know how familiar you are with the neighborhood, but it's when you are coming off of Cook Road and making a left to try to get onto 71 North. So there's a neighbor on my street who has to use that intersection daily. She's very, very fearful. She sees lots of near accidents and has been beating the drum for me to keep trying to promote the multiple jurisdictions coming together to find a way to fund additional traffic signaling there, because folks who are coming westbound do not have to stop, and they're coming in front of us trying to get onto 71 North, and it's quite dangerous.
Okay, that's great feedback.
I'll put it in the map, I'll put it in public comment, I'll tell all my neighbors to do the same. I'm gonna put it on our Facebook page, like that. We're gonna comment a lot on that.
Okay.
But just saying it out loud again.
And that's kind of one of MORPC's roles in bringing multiple jurisdictions together.
I was hearing those words, and I was like, I should have talked to you sooner. So.
And that same intersection, though, I mean, we have boundable posts there that get run over like on a daily basis. My son drives to Sales High School every morning, and he gives me the post update. But there's a continuous right turn without a stop. I mean, there's a lot of action going on there. And then people trying to take a left onto the neighborhood street that goes along the freeway, and they're almost getting rear-ended because there's not enough space because it backs up there. So there's a lot going on there. Yeah.
Thank you.
So I'm sorry to start off, please.
Thanks for the presentation. I'm curious as to why MORPC is completely ignoring High Street, which is the densest neighborhood of the city, from the Convention Center up to Broadway. I mean, 43202 has a density of like 8,000 people or so per square mile, and 43201 down on campus is even more. It just seems like the link to that stuff is great, but it seems to be going in an area where the walk shift for stops for transit users is quite far, or why you have more density within the High Street area. I'm just curious.
You're talking about transit specifically?
Yeah, I'm just curious.
So that is part of an ongoing discussion, where we call it the downtown convergence, and how basically how the northwest corridor and East Main, how they're going to kind of come together. So yeah, that the alignment has not actually been identified as part.
Yeah, it's not about the BRT, but High Street itself. All the charts that you had up here, you didn't identify High Street as a place for improved transit at all. And it seems like that's where number 2 is, I think, the most populous, most well-used bus in the city.
Yes.
If I'm not going to be mistaken.
Yeah. So like I mentioned, we don't map, I guess, the local bus.
Sure, I got that. Yeah.
So just kind of with the understanding that CODO is looking very regularly at where improvements need to be made. So we kind of leave that to I don't want to leave that to CODO, but working with them, we know that there's going to be investment in the future beyond their investment in our existing transit service beyond existing levels. So while we're not calling that out specifically on the map, I think we would fully expect, I would say High Street is the closest thing we have to a kind of transit mall, if you will. And it is a high ridership corridor, so I think it will absolutely continue to have the attention and investment that is needed.
I know sometime this year, CODA is going to increase the frequency of the number 2, and I wrote the number 4 this time. It's like a half hour between buses, which is nuts for a big city.
Yeah, CODA actually does have some service changes proposed with increased frequency, and
the number 2.
I don't know the routes,
I understand.
but definitely take a look at what they're proposing. They're having a public hearing in the next couple of months, but.
Thanks.
Yeah, sure.
Any other commissioner questions? Yeah, Commissioner Wyman.
We go back to the map. One of the things that we'd like to see as a commission is along Indianola and Northern Morris Road, making that pedestrian and bike friendly.
Indianola North.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to mention that too. I think it's the only road in Clintonville that has a 45-mile-per-hour speed limit, and it's 2 lanes.
No sidewalks.
Barely a berm.
No sidewalks.
No shoulder.
Deer every time I drive.
But it also goes all the way to Worthington that way. So there's a lot of residents, a lot of bikers, and walkers, and it's very unsafe.
Thank you.
I had a comment about bike infrastructure. In Columbus, in general, all of the major bike pathways run north and south. And there's nothing that goes east-west. And it seems like that's a major oversight in the planning. I think that really should be considered. Pathways along Bethel Road, along.
I think that's, I hear you, I think north-south transportation in general in our region is it's easier to travel north and south than east-west. So really write that down. I know the city is also working on a bike plan that I think they will probably be coming to talk to you about. They're trying to coordinate efforts to come at the same time. It didn't quite work out, but yeah, thank you.
East Hudson is under construction right now.
There's a great suicide path on Broad too.
Yeah, in Linden. It's an east-west route.
Any other commissioner comments? Yeah, please, Commissioner Morris.
Of course, I second my question. The other question is how to comment on this plan. I just went to the map on the website, and it says it's closed since September.
Yeah, so you should, we're in the process of getting the transition from where the map was showing all the candidate projects that were considered and you could draw the projects on. And so we're kind of, as we speak, getting it turned over to show what you're seeing here. So come back tomorrow.
So the other question is, would it be the same link or no?
Yeah, same link, same place. And you'll be able to see, you should be able to see all the comments that were submitted on each project during the previous comment period, they should still be there. So I think it's kind of helpful to see what others in the community are saying about projects.
And we'll be live tomorrow.
That's the goal. And I can make sure, we've been communicating via email. I'll make sure that I notify you so you know when it actually is.
We'll blast it out, we'll put it all over our pages and stuff, so yeah. Thank you.
I had two questions. You mentioned premium transit. Can you explain what exactly that is? Because you also mentioned CMAX, and I would have thought CMAX as premium transit.
So we would not consider CMAX premium. So premium is going to be higher capacity vehicles, higher frequency, so the vehicle comes more often, off-board fare collection, so kind of quicker boarding, real dedicated transit guideways. We don't currently have that in Columbus. So we're talking about a lane dedicated for transit, not in mixed traffic, to improve travel time reliability. Really, when we say bus rapid transit, it's it's a like light rail but on wheels, and it's at a more affordable price, and it's also a little bit more flexible, so you can kind of see once you kind of double down on the investment. If it's successful, you get the impacts of the development impact of rail. That's the idea, is to encourage investment along the corridors to kind of accommodate some of that growth we're expecting. And then, if in the future you could, invest in the rails and the infrastructure to actually make it a light rail. So, it's just that higher level of service and experience of a kind of a true transit like you would experience in a larger city.
You also mentioned the smart lane on 670. I don't make it out that way very often, and I wish I were at the airport more frequently, but can you tell me exactly how that smart lane works, because I don't quite understand that.
Sure. So there's so it's eastbound only, in eastbound direction only. The inside shoulder is open for travel during peak periods. So, and actually, so that's only in the afternoon going east. So I think it's between 3 and 6, it opens. There's variable speed limit signs that the speed limit goes down to 55, with the idea that at a slower speed, there's the flow a little better. And there's signs throughout that kind of indicate, every once in a while, if there's an issue, shoulders are there for safety, if there's a disabled vehicle kind of room. So if for some reason there's an issue, the signs will say it's closed. But yeah, basically it just opens another lane for travel during peak times. I do know ODOT will tell you that that improvement combined with the interchange, there's an interchange improvement at 670 and 270 has brought and I actually do travel that regularly. The travel time improvement was something crazy. Like it went from like 40 minutes to like, or 25 minutes to like 6 minutes or something. And it really does move. And I think it's the combination of the interchange and the smart lane. But that's something. So it's basically utilizing existing infrastructure at certain times of the day to improve travel flow.
The only trouble with that, if you're in the left lane, you suffer a blown tire or something. Now you've got to move all the way over.
Because that lane is the shoulder.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, that's the part I wasn't understanding. I thought there was that lane and the shoulder. And I was like, why don't we just have it open all the time? But there's no shoulder there. I understand.
And so that's where the overhead signage comes in.
Yeah, I understand now. Thank you.
Is NCIL here? Okay. We'll do a couple more questions, then we do need to make sure we get to that agenda item, please.
My understanding is the 71 is under design right now. Just want to ask for that. Okay. Thanks.
Any questions? Yeah, please.
The open house you mentioned on March 19th, I didn't write fast enough. You said it was the Morksey offices?
Yes.
And ththose would be located where?
At 111 Liberty Street.
And where is 111 Liberty Street?
We're in the Brewery District.
Okay.
Right by Kroger.
And parking, it doesn't help me any.
There's parking, we have a lot adjacent to our
And the number 2 bus will get me there? Not, because it's south of Main Street.
So
There's a lot of construction going on right now, so.
The number 2 bus will take you close to it. The
Main
closest stop is
Street.
taking the 4. Will take you to High and Fulton, and then walk or take other means.
Okay.
Yeah, it is a little bit difficult right now to get to our office.
Yeah, it's tricky downtown. Okay, thank
But
you.
yeah, that's 3:30 to 6:30.
Right.
Thank you, and we'll post that as well as the map, and we really appreciate your time this evening. I'm not trying to rush you
Nope,
off,
I
just want to make sure we
understand.
get through the whole agenda, so.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, and we look forward to keeping in touch. Thank you, Maria. NCIL, please.
Hi, I'll actually be relatively brief and short. I don't know, I had a colleague who maybe sent in a link for a video.
Yes, I will cushion this, caution, videos and this don't love each other, so I'll try it real quick. But
If it does come up, we'll just do that real quick and then we'll go through the reason for us being here. Everybody know what NCIL is? Everybody have an idea? It's Northern Columbus Intramural League, softball, baseball, 50 years, 750 kids this summer, 200 volunteers.
Oh, library facilities for me, Ralph.
Oh, it was so
James
good. It was so good.
It was so
We're
bubbly.
buffering. Listen, I hate public speaking, so the video is much better anyway.
Maybe better than the full screen.
You're better than the video right now.
Yeah, just got it.
Well, listen, let's try one more time. Maybe we start playing that. I think it's good.
I won't full screen it again. Save that.
Hi, my name is Lisa Dupler, and I've been a softball coach for NCIL for the last 3 years. The impact that NCIL has had on many girls that I've coached, including my own daughter, they were able to interact with each other, have fun, be competitive. And with me never even playing before, I was always hesitant about whether or not I would be an effective coach, but I took time to also learn more details and specifics, and I enjoy coaching. To me, NCL is just about learning and growing and playing baseball with my friends. It'll be fun growing and learning baseball together throughout the years.
And so maybe we can stop here. Again,
I think it's
yeah, so Colin Wagner's my son. He played in NCIL. I'm Eric Wagner, Commissioners. Thanks for having us tonight. Give you a little quick backstory. My son played in NCIL from the time he was 5 until the time he was about 15. It was all sportsmanship. It was all community. It was all teamwork. It was very, very non-competitive, which is okay in my mind. Like, we're all out here to have a good time and to bring together the community like this. So all summer you'll see baseball games being played. You'll see people who aren't even associated with NCL sitting around watching it, and we're limited by the sun. And so you go out to Olentangy, you go out to all the other suburbs. They have really nice lights. They have sprinklers. They have whatever. We have fields that are maintained by volunteers, and we talked to Parks and Rec about this, but we maintain them. We help get them ready. There's no scoreboards. There's no dugouts. There's no lights. And so 4 years ago, myself and a couple other community members took upon ourselves to kind of start pushing for it. Tried to push in the last capital appropriation cycle, so that was again 4 years ago. Didn't realize how the sausage was made at that time. I couldn't figure out how to link Parks and Rec and NCIL together, along with the state appropriation process. Got kicked down, got back up, and went through the process again this year. We're much further along, so I don't know if you guys are familiar with the budget cycle this year, but there's a one-time special capital improvement budget. So capital budget, one-time special programs, right? Over $700 million available to the state of Ohio through its legislators. We have 6 legislators who represent the 32 zip codes that are essentially representative of NCIL kids every summer. Reached out to all of them, found that there's favorable support, reached out to Parks and Rec, found out that there was favorable support, and we're trying to push through lighting in 2 fields. So field 1 and field 2, offset away from the roads, out in the middle of the fields, very directed LED lighting, and so that's why we're here, is to talk about that project, see how the commission might be able to help, want to be involved, and go from there.
So you are lobbying state legislature for this?
We are individually lobbying the state legislature, yes.
Okay, and the ask of us would.
And we're not lobbyists. We're lobbying the citizens.
Yeah, I get. A couple of us are lobbyists, so we get the discussion. So are you asking us for like a letter of support?
We're asking you for whatever you think we should do with the commission. And again, the commission has insight and oversight to all the districts within the primary is served by NCIL. We've reached out to some of the other commissions, but it's really CAC, right? It's more of a favorable outreach to the community, how you guys want to be involved. The planning wants to be involved in the process too. But I think they already are with Parks and Rec. I mean, they understand what the Tina Moan and Jack Castle and their teams are already involved with the commission aspect, right? So, no, okay.
I don't think so.
We can get you tied together. So Rob Wood, if you know Rob Wood, he was one old District 1. So Mark, I think you have his seat now. He's one of the gentlemen who's kind of on this like citizen group.
Okay.
Connected us with Rex and Park. Went up through the process. The mayor's office is reaching out to the legislators, telling them this is a high priority project. Really, it's just to see what we need to do with commission, what information we can give, hopefully solicit your support as we go forward. We put together a web form that allows all the citizens of the region to automatically email all legislators, reminding them that we want this project to happen. And we're asking for $750,000 for the lights. Jim Harrison, who's one of those citizen community members, is also a lighting guy. Again, he's not going to do any of the work, he's not going to get any benefit, but he went out and he actually priced it. He worked with the Parks and Rec people to make sure that was valid pricing. They talked about splitting off goal projects to actually feed out electricity to a concession center or a concession van. We're really just trying to get NCIL kind of up and running on their own, right? Every single year they come on, they ask the community for t-shirts and sponsorships and whatever. I looked at their balance sheet, they have $900. So it's an organization that runs hundreds of games and multiple leagues and dozens of teams and like I said, 750 kids in summer, and they have $900. And so every single year it's volunteers, it's parents, it's begging for money. We get them a concession stand, we get them up and operational, we get them the night games that actually do like little regional tournaments and things. And now NCIL has a revenue source that they can use to continue to operate. So that's our whole mission, that's our goal. We just want to make sure that the commission was actually involved.
Yeah, please.
You're asking for just the electricity here?
No, we're asking for all the lights. We asked for the pricing for all the lights and all install.
Okay, for all the lights, but you're not asking for the concession stand?
No, so
you're not asking for turf or anything?
No, we make sure. Listen, I like
my kid came through at NCIL, I sponsored a team, we've done a bingo event for you guys last year. No, I'm here to help you, but I don't understand. I think your ask is too small. For the money that's available to you, you have a one-time opportunity to ask it. You're asking for lights on 2 fields.
Listen, amen. And so I will go back and ask for more. I love your input.
I think you need the dugouts. You need what every other neighborhood has in the city of Columbus on their fields. And because NCIL truly is the baseball team community for outlying areas, people are still bringing their kids into Clintonville, even though their kids play in other cities too. They're coming into NCIL.
I think you're a great organization. My kids didn't play baseball, but I'm well familiar with all this stuff. Turf would seem like that would extend your playing period anyway, because you don't worry about rain.
Listen, I'll take all that feedback. We honestly, we're shooting for this. And if we can get this, that'd be fantastic.
You're losing games on, a rain.
I think you lose more games with rain than darkness, summer.
Again, Commissioner Watt, I appreciate that. Welcome you guys to kind of push with us.
Go bigger.
And I'll add you guys to the outreach, to whoever the commission wants to appoint as representative, and I'll ask for more. That's great.
I would say that's probably your best course going forward. Keep in touch with us, keep us posted on how it's going, and as individuals, we can engage. I think that is probably more appropriate than us as a body doing state advocacy. I'm looking around at my colleagues to see if anybody disagrees with me, but I think you, frankly, are much better positioned having the mayor's office put in, because we're just an advisory body of the city council.
Let's get a very important advisory body.
I really think as CAC, you know, we made comments about wanting a new library here. I think it would be very beneficial to tack on a letter that goes down to the mayor's office and says that we really would like, no, but we would like to back NCIL's request to have our, you know, little rubber stamp on that. I think would be beneficial to them, not lobbying for anything, but just to say that we are in agreement that this is a need here in our neighborhood.
Would you be comfortable working together to create a letter like that and maybe presenting it next month? And then we could look at it to vote on next month.
And to give everybody the timelines too, and I'm sure you're familiar with the state appropriation process. The representatives put their requests in for these, I think it was January something. They are in review and essentially horse trade till April or so. Senate will then look at them, May they'll sit down, they'll do the horse trades again, and then ultimately they'll send something to the governor to approve. Again, I understand this $700 million is being very directed, so it has to be each representative in their district has projects, right? So it's a very, very unique pot of money that may be right, maybe we should ask for a lot more.
And my understanding is the House is going to pass it in their version next week.
And
That's what I've heard.
so Leader Russo said she put it in, we'll see. If she didn't, then we know Senator Coonsey pretty well too, and she'll put it in. But if we have the support of the community, we'll probably do that.
So we're too late then to have.
I don't think we're for the House, yes, but the Senate.
They haven't had any hearings.
And if Leader Russo put it in for $750,000, we can ask Senator Coonsey about that.
Yeah, we could talk more about strategy, but yeah, I don't think it's too late to enter the discussion by any means.
And so I can send the commission the web form before we even start reaching out to how do people populate whatever your feedback. I would love to ask for more. I think that's fantastic. And really, like I said, with more of that information, what can we do with you guys to make sure that we get the community behind it, right?
Commissioner Marks, you got a question?
Just in terms of clarifications or putting together a letter, i.e. a resolution.
I think it's a letter to the mayor's
Support.
office, not a formal resolution. It's just a letter of support.
And I really think that's what it is, an indication of support, right? The community's behind it. The regional commission's behind it, the nonprofit NCL's behind it, the legislators and representatives behind it, the mayor's office behind it. It better happen, right? And 4 years ago, we felt very sad it didn't, and here we are again, so.
I'm glad you persevered. Are there other questions from commissioners? Questions or comments from the public?
I do have a question.
Yeah, please.
What other fields does the NCIL play on?
So they only use whetstones, and sometimes they use one in Calumet, and then sometimes they use some of the outlying ones when they have to. It's almost all whetstone. And so that's why we focused on whetstone.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for everything you do
Sure.
for our community's kids.
Thank you guys.
For advocating and taking the time. And I think I see your wife back
Yes.
there. Thank
Yes.
you for everything you do in our community, including our babies like mine.
My wife's a middle age.
You caught my oldest. I don't know if I should say that on something. But thank you for coming tonight, and we
Thank
look
you,
forward
guys.
to talking more about this next month.
And do you mind if maybe I'll get contact information or I'll send you?
Yeah, we all have cards and
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Oh, you bet. What's that? Okay, some of us are in the process of getting cards.
Oh, wonderful. I will include all you guys.
I don't have a card yet, but
We
I think I have your
circulate it.
How about if I email Brittany, and Brittany, if you just give me everybody?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And commissioners at ClintonvilleAreaCommission.org.
Okay.
It's to all of us.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Are there any additional questions? Actually, next meeting will be Thursday, March 7th in this room, 7 p.m. Are there any additional public comments tonight? Yeah, please.
One, and on your table planning development committee, I would like for you all to make note that all of the nominees for that committee live east of High Street. There was no one on that list who was identified as west of High Street. So, I appreciate the fact that that was difficult to come to grips with tabling, but thank you for tabling that and revisiting that list.
I will share that with Eliza.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Any other public comments tonight? Thank you so much. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?